Pawn e2 to e4. Pawn e7 to e6. Pawn d2 to d4. Pawn d7 to d5. Knight b1 to d2. Pawn c7 to c5. Knight g1 to f3. Knight g8 to e7. Bishop f1 to b5, check. Bishop c8 to d7. Bishop b5 takes d7, check. Knight b8 takes d7. Pawn d4 takes c5. Knight d7 takes c5. Pawn b2 to b4. Knight c5 takes e4. Knight d2 takes e4. Pawn d5 takes e4. Knight f3 to d4. Knight e7 to d5. Pawn b4 to b5. Knight d5 to c3. Queen d1 to d2. Queen d8 to a5. Castle kingside. Pawn e6 to e5. Knight d4 to f5. Rook a8 to d8. Queen d2 to e1. Pawn f7 to f6. Bishop c1 to b2. Bishop f8 to b4. Knight f5 takes g7, check. King e8 to e7. Knight g7 to f5, check. King e7 to e8. Pawn a2 to a3. Bishop b4 takes a3. Knight f5 to g7, check. King e8 to f7. Rook a1 takes a3. Queen a5 takes b5. Queen e1 takes c3. Rook d8 to c8. Rook a3 to b3. Queen b5 to e2. Rook b3 takes b7, check. King f7 to g6. Queen c3 to g3, check. King g6 to h6. Knight g7 to f5, check. King h6 to h5. Queen g3 to h4, check. King h5 to g6. Knight f5 to e3. Rook c8 takes c2. Queen h4 takes e4, check. Pawn f6 to f5. Queen e4 takes f5, check. King g6 to h6. Knight e3 takes c2. Queen e2 to a6. Bishop b2 to c1, checkmate.